Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Muting. All right. Just remember, as we go along here through the presentation, you can always use the chat option to ask questions. And please ask questions as we go along, and then I can read them and I can answer them as they fit into the presentation. You can unmute your mic and you can ask me a question just straightforward. If you don't mind doing that, you can do that. Otherwise, again, use the chat option. There's a way to ask questions so everybody can see, and there's a way to ask questions so only I am seeing the questions that you're asking. So today's presentation, it's going to be trends in college goalkeeping. So really, you could just call this trends in advanced goalkeeping. This is what you're looking to do when you're in college. It's also big pieces of it are the beginnings of what they look to do in professional soccer. And again, at the higher levels of the youth soccer and the club soccer that you're already playing, you should be putting some of the things they do here into practice. They do use the college goalkeepers, the college format. In this case, the coaches that presented this, which I'm going to be talking over and using their presentation. One is the women's assistant coach at Penn State University, and the other is the men's assistant coach at Duke University. So they're going from their own experience with their teams to kind of show you what some of the trends are. Another thing with this presentation is it fits really well with the first presentation we did last week, which was positioning and communication in goalkeeping. That one is on YouTube, so you can look that back up. You can go through the Salva website and look that up also. But there's a lot of things that they go over in here that is just the kind of the next step to what we talked about last week in the presentation. So if you haven't seen it either in the classroom or on Zoom, go back on YouTube and check out the positional and communication goalkeeping. It'll fit well with this one. But here we go. Beginning here, it's just a little explanation of these two coaches. Again, these two coaches, I watched this presentation at a convention 2 years ago, and the coaches were nice enough to send me their entire presentation. I'll try to do them some justice by doing the speaking portion of the presentation. But again, it's Duke and Penn State University's keeper coaches that put this together. So again, we're looking to share insights on what, why, how in the toolbox for goalkeepers in college goalkeeping. What a college goalkeeper looks like. You can see here for the female. And now they didn't do an average. What they did is they took their own goalkeepers. So specifically here, this is a young lady that played at Penn State, so the coach has a familiarity with her. So you can see 5'11", 145 pounds. They did vertical broad jump, 40-yard dash, just to give you a little physical description. So obviously, very physically advanced young lady that was playing at the top female soccer program in the country at the time. You can see here on the male side, 6 foot. Now 6 foot's tall enough, but sometimes if you're a male goalkeeper, especially those of you that have been looking into college, you might feel like 6 foot isn't tall enough, that you got to be 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'6". 6 foot is just fine. Now, when they talk here about demands of the college goalkeeper, they're not really going to get into the academic side of things. So this isn't going to be a chat on what you need to be doing on the academic side of things in college. It's just going to be strictly pertaining to the game itself. So again, there you can read goalkeeper's sporting performance, techniques, tactics, and theories, physical fitness, there's a physical factor to it, and psychological condition. Okay, again, I think maybe even here more than anything, the psychological condition when you get into college and you have to kind of wade your way through all that college presents with school, time management, maybe being away from home, all those things are very important. So demands of the position, we have a little tree here. So the tree goes down two sides. We have the defensive aspect and the offensive aspect. And again, if you go back to the positional video, this ties right into when we have the ball and when we don't have the ball. So we'll go through defensive aspect, positioning, goalkeeper saves, and dead ball situations. And the offensive aspect, goalkeeper distribution, back pass, and communication. And again, these are general terms to describe the kind of two sides of the tree, and there's a lot of different things that'll trickle into those two sides of the tree. What does a match look like? Now, this is, again, specifically for data that they've kept for their college matches, but this is going to be pretty close to a professional match also, and again, maybe a high-level club game. So 82% of the match for a goalkeeper, your contacts are going to be goal kicks, free kicks, kicks from the hands, playing sweeper keeper, and distributing the ball. 4 minutes of time is going to be catches, saves, punches, and the other stuff, getting stuff situated. So you can see there's a real high demand on your ability to organize and distribute. Okay, so there's some good stats for both men and women there. This is, again, to 2017, a couple years ago, but I'm sure it's going to be extremely similar, if not the same. But the goalkeepers for the men only had to make maybe 3 saves for a 90-minute match. For the women, 2.2 saves there for a 90-minute match. They had to make, as you can see there on the men's side, 31 passes, and then he was completing an average of 89% of his passes. And on the female side, no different, 28 passes on average per game, and completing 80% of their passes or distributions. So again, you can see how important that distribution part of the game is. What does a match look like? Okay, so what they did here is they compiled a regular season, almost all the regular season games, and they put dots down there for every contact the goalkeeper had during that season, contact with the ball. So I caught it and I'm punting it, or somebody passed back. You can see on both of these maps, very, very similar for both the men and the women. The highest concentration is right in and around the penalty spot. But look at how many contacts there are way outside the 18-yard box. Now, we don't see too many outside the edges of the 18-yard box. We don't see the goalkeeper having to wander out there too much, but definitely between the edges of the 18-yard box, you can see they're making contacts well out into the top of their defensive third and a little bit into the middle third. And again, those are the type of balls that hopefully are the easy ones where you're high enough off your line, balls are coming in behind, and you're intercepting them, and or they're the ones where you're just being a support player for your defense while they have possession of the ball. But hundreds of contacts there, and you can see the large amount outside of the box. So what does a match look like? They split it into kind of the 4 parts of a match here as I'm a goalkeeper looking at the field. organized attacking, defensive transition, organized defending, and attacking transition. We'll kind of go over what those look like here for a goalkeeper. Organized attacking. Okay, so what is your team's game model and what do you prioritize? So the best example I can give for that question there is just the simple, are we trying to build, play a little possession out of the back? Are we playing direct? And with whatever team you're on, what do they prioritize? They want you getting it away from your goal as fast as possible into the forwards, or are they wanting you to connect with your team more? Those would be kind of the two extremes of a game model there. What is a goalkeeper's role in the different phases, and how do we simplify this? And again, there, so what should you be doing when your team is in the other end of the field attacking or defending? What should you be doing when they're in the middle of the field attacking or defending? What should you be doing when you're in your defensive third and there's defending and attacking going on? What are the cues that will shape decision making? So supporting and playing round. Back this up here so you can see that little chart. Okay, so you can see there it says support, provide the optimum position for this for the specific in possession phase of the game, meaning your team has the ball. You can see on this chart here in the non-blacked out portion of it that the goalkeeper has the ball. Second part is we now have the ball and we're able to support. So how do we play around? Circulate the ball in preparation to penetrate the opposition. So this is where maybe the other team's backed off a little bit, and now you're going to work with your back four defenders or back three defenders, whatever you have in your setup, and you're going to work to move the ball around, them playing it back to you, you playing it to them, switching from side to side until you can find a lane to move upfield. So we'll get some video example of this right here. You can see the blue team with the red goalkeeper. They're just working to keep possession of the game and move the ball to safe places. Excuse me, the white team with the red goalkeeper. Move the ball to safe places while trying to open up lanes to go forward or pull the other team out of position. You can see they're very patient in keeping the ball with the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper wants the ball as much as possible. Now you can see by moving it around there, they opened up a lot of space to finally move forward, and that's the goal. Don't get trapped, but open up space to move forward. And again, here you can see the defender in white using her goalkeeper to get out of trouble. Rather than getting in a foot race with the defender, there's a good support pass there. I guarantee you that goalkeeper was screaming and hollering for the ball. She moved it back out the other side, and look, they started an attack, which looks pretty good at that point. Okay, so you can see here playing through, again, playing penetrative passes between the opposing players. So now, again, we've maybe played around, or the goalkeeper has the ball, and we're looking to move upfield. So can we connect beyond our defense? Can we find maybe a midfielder moving into position, or can we find a defender that's moved behind the other team's first line of defense? So these are going to be more penetrating passes, but still in control on the ground. You'll see they're anywhere from 10-yard passes to even 30-yard passes to play through. And you can kind of see that highlighted a green area there in the middle of the field. That's where the majority of those through passes are going to go, is when they're playing up the middle. So they have to be very sure that their option is open, very sure that they can move forward in that manner. And again, we'll watch here. little bit of playing around, and now they're looking for that penetrating pass here from the goalie. And now she's turning and she's upfield, and they've broke pressure. So great job there by Penn State. There's a little bit of playing through there with a roll. She bowled the ball out in that one to play through. Here's just a simple pass to split the forwards. There we go. Just trying to find those midfielders in the middle of the field. All right, so now we're moving upfield. So we've played around, we've looked to play through when it's available, and now we could look to play into. All right, now playing into usually means the other team is upfield a little bit. They're putting some pressure on you. So we're looking to play over our defense, maybe over some of our midfielders, and you're looking to play into a player that's kind of in that middle third of the field. Now, when they say into, the reason why they say into is we're looking to give them a ball that they can use. So it's not like we're just drilling the ball at them and hoping they can flick it. We're looking to play something to their feet or maybe in the air to some part of their body that they can take down and use to keep the ball. So you're playing into with accuracy. One of your players in the middle third of the field. We'll see some examples of that here. Again, these balls can be in the air or on the ground. So there's a great example off a goal kick there. The goalkeeper just skipping out the back line and finding that player in the middle third. Again, right there, skipping out some players, finding an open player in the middle third to beat the pressure. There you can see a good controlled ball off of a pass back to the keeper where they play it into the space to a player, play over that pressure. I think for most of our goalkeepers, this is the most useful, is to play into somebody. Not a lot of you guys and gals have the leg strength yet to be able to do the next two things we're going to talk about. But definitely being able to skip out of some pressure to play a ball either hard on the ground or in the air over the first couple lines of pressure into the middle part of the field. Most of you guys and gals are capable of doing that. So again, there, a good ball right to the player's feet, over a little bit, off of the offsides. Go back here, just a little hair. Again, feel free to ask questions, or if you want to go back to look at something, just open up in the chat or tell me. Ooh. Okay, so now we have that next level. So it says play onto. So we've had played around the back, working it around, switching it from side to side. We've had looking to maybe penetrate through the middle into that next level. Again, usually all those passes are going to be on the ground for the most part. Then we had play into, where we're skipping out levels of play, trying to find people's feet, but the ball could be played in the air, ball could be played on the ground. Now we have play onto. So now is where maybe you're looking a little bit farther. You're not maybe as concerned as to get it right to their feet, but you're playing it towards a player beyond the pressure of the other team, and you're hoping the other player can either take it down and do something with it, or maybe flick, have some sort of a flick, or play a ball forward down the field to advance it. So still a good play, but a little bit less control, more distance, less control. Take a look at some examples of that. You can see over here, play onto, they had passing to a teammate, optimizing the chances of winning an aerial duel. Again, these are the balls probably playing more towards midfield. Now you can see here, I'll just use that last play as an example. If you want to know some of the reasons why that goalkeeper, even though the goalkeeper had time, The goalkeeper played it onto, because if you notice, their team wasn't opening up at all. I'll rewind it here and replay it, but their team didn't open up at all. Reason why they didn't do that is because you can tell it's rainy and wet. So you can tell I don't know what the scores of this game, but I'd imagine either they need to score a goal or get the ball upfield. They're just trying to advance the ball and keep it upfield. They're not meddling around with keeping it on their back line. Again, you got to remember, this is Penn State. So if their women's team is playing it forward, they have a reason to do it. But I'll rewind it. You can see the goalkeeper doesn't have pressure on her, but the team is not really spread out, so she plays onto to get out of trouble. So again, we'll let that play. So again, you can see they maybe have some time where they could try to build out, but they're looking to play into some players. And again, oftentimes you might know you have those players in those spaces on your team that win those flicks, and it's a very good play. You don't always have to play short. Okay, and then the last one here. And again, when we're looking at play, when we're looking at these different ways of play, these aren't goal kick sometimes. These could be a goal kick. It could be from a support pass. It could be from a punt. It could be a throw or a bowl. All of your options for distribution are open when it comes to any of these plays. Obviously, with some of these, like the next one we're going to talk about, playing beyond, it's going to be hard for the majority of players to play beyond, and we'll say what this is, unless you're punting the ball or you're drop kicking the ball somehow. So playing around, playing through, playing into, playing onto are easy to do from the ground, or you should be able to do from the ground. But playing beyond is a little bit harder. So playing beyond, you can see here, hopefully you guys can see it, passing to the space beyond the opposition's back line. So this is where we've seen the other team is pushed upfield really far, and we have an opportunity to play a ball in behind. If we have a good leg, if you have good leg strength, you can look to play more of those balls in beyond, and then we can turn it into a foot race with our forwards. That's always a good attacking option. Again, maybe especially on things like if we've just defended a corner kick and you've caught the ball and you're looking to counterattack, absolutely just look into a space beyond, and you should have players, one or two up there ready to work with those type of balls you'd send them. Again, here we'll see some more examples of playing beyond. I bet that girl scores. All right, so we'll look at some defensive transition here. Okay, so that first set that we just looked at with that little chart with the playing around, through, onto, into, onto, and beyond, that's when you have the ball. So now there's a little bit more of a defensive transition that we need to monitor here. So what are we doing before the transition occurs? So this is maybe my team is pushed upfield and we just almost scored a goal, or we have a corner and now the other team gets it and they're working back. They're working back towards me and the goal. So what do I need to do? I can start organizing my closing middle of the field and trying to delay and direct the play a little bit and get some numbers back. Number one thing is, can I delay the play and help organize my team? Managing depth and space behind the back line. So that's for you. That's part of you understanding how far upfield you should be with your vertical positioning and how far back you should be in order to maybe pick off some lines or some balls between that back line and where you're standing. And also to help your back line understand whether they should be pushing up or moving backwards. And here they use the high block or low block. So if you want them pushing upfield, that would be a high block. If you want them sitting more back in front of you as a goalkeeper, that'd be a low block. Managing your priorities in the different areas of the field. Again, it's going to be a lot different if the ball is already at the other end of the field or all the way at the other end of the field, and it's going to be different if the ball is at the top of my 18-yard box. Time of the match and the score line. So how much time is left? Do we need to score? Or are we winning and need to slow the game down and tick minutes off the clock? Understanding what the attacker and attacking team can do, it says here, but how about what they want to do? So I can also control some of that as a goalkeeper. If I understand how the other team is trying to attack me, maybe they like to get it wide and hit crosses in, and they have big giants in there that like to head it. Well, we'll try to cut out some of those crosses on the outside of the field. Maybe we know they like to pass it and get it right in the box. There's another way I can organize that. So understanding what the other team wants to do is very important. Okay, so we'll see some different plays here. I know you guys will be watching the ball, but I want you to keep an eye on the goalkeeper. In this case, the goalkeeper is not in the frame yet, but they will come into frame. And in these cases, the goalkeeper is managing their positioning for the shot, which in this case, the goalkeeper would have to be back in their six a little bit, prepared to stop a shot if this young lady was going to shoot, but then also be able to protect that space in behind their back line. So there you can see that goalkeeper was on the line, read the ball through, and was able to get to it even though she was all the way back on the line. Here the goalkeeper was more aggressive, cut it out at the top of the box. Here the goalkeeper waits. So you can see that goalkeeper waited. She just didn't come charging through. She waited because the one thing in her advantage here is the angle that the attacking player is running at. So she waited knowing she has a pretty good angle, and she's going to watch that first touch here and then see if she should sit or attack. Again, here you can see the angle's poor, so she sits a little bit and waits. There's a through ball, tacked. And on that last one there, that last one we can watch. Reason why this keeper goes for that is she sees, well, maybe she knows she's quick, that she can get to it. And she also has a defender there screening the other player. So hopefully if your defender does their job to hold off that attacking player, and you as a goalkeeper know you're quick enough, you can come cut that ball out like this keeper does. Very, very good play. There again, that goalkeeper saw that ball was going to be coming, got into a pretty decent position. Another good save. Okay, before we show the men's highlights here, you can see this managing transition in space behind the back line when it comes to you as a goalkeeper. These are those 1v1 situations we work on all the time. Now, when we're doing a session and we're working on 1v1s, it's kind of a little bit more geared towards the technical aspects. And then we work it into a situation where you can start to read some cues like a big touch or knowing that you can get to the ball first, or there's a defender or no defender there. We work on some of that stuff, but here's a really good example with this video. You can see that timing. You can see where this goalkeeper is waiting in a certain position for a cue, and then they're exploding and using those techniques that we learn, but they're using them in a very fast-paced fashion. They're using them at game speed at the top level. So again, as you watch the men here, we just saw it with the women, but you can watch with the men. You can just keep an eye on when are they making their decision. And usually it's on that first touch or a big touch by the attacking player. If the touch is close, they wait. If the touch is big, they go. You can also see a lot of their final saves are just getting big. They're those blocking type of saves where they're just making a shape with their body and hoping to make a save. So again, there, as we finished up that managing space behind, you can see that's very 1v1 oriented. What am I going to do in those situations? When do I make my decisions? And again, this will go on YouTube. So those are good videos to go and look back, and you can kind of slow motion them and see when did they make their decision and start to determine why they stay, why did they go. And you as a player, that'll help you when you get into games rather than it just being random and either you sit back all the time or you just kamikaze and go for the ball every single time. We don't want you to do either of those two things. Okay, organized defending considerations and trends. What is your overall defending strategy? And how does that factor into the goalkeeper's strengths and weaknesses? And what that means right there is obviously you're going to have a team. Your team's going to have strengths and weaknesses. So you might play where your team presses all over the field. You might play where your team drops back into a block and plays a really low line of confrontation. And then the goalkeeper, you have to know what are you good at and what are you not good at yet. Okay, so maybe if I'm 6'6", I know I'm going to be pretty good at those aerial balls, but maybe my footwork's not the greatest and I can't get places faster. Vice versa, maybe I'm a little shorter, so I know I'm super quick, but I can't get those high ones as easy. So that's going to affect your positioning and what you want your team to do and what type of balls you want your team to allow to get through to you and what type of balls you want your team to stop. What are the cues that factor into decision making? Again, we kind of go through those when we get out on the field. We'll go through cues. How influential is the goalkeeper in your overall defending philosophy, which nowadays, and especially if you're at the college level, your goalkeeper is probably number one or number two in your defending philosophy, depending upon the abilities of your team. And what are the priorities for your goalkeeper in team defending through the different areas of the field? That's just saying as the ball moves from one end of the field to the other, what should your goalkeeper be concentrating on as far as organizing the team? Attacking transition considerations. Okay, what qualities does the team possess? What strengths does the goalkeeper have in transition? And what cues factor the decision making? So now we're talking about we have the ball and what do we want to do as we go forward? This is going to be different for all teams. Again, at the club level, I'd say we try to give you a really good base of how do we play out short and how do we start to build. But then there's the other part of being able to expose the other team and being able to play, let's say, off of a corner kick. When do I know that I want to play downfield field quickly because I know I have a fast forward? So that would be the qualities. The qualities of my team, the strengths of a goalkeeper, can I get it downfield? And then reading the cues to make sure we're delivering in the right spots. So here we'll go off of that counterattack. You can see there it said always look forward first. Vertical, so vertical just means it's describing the space between your goal and the other goal. So it's the length of the field is vertical positioning. And where are your numbers? So again, is their back line high and flat? Do you have 3 players up? Do you have 1 player up? How good are they? How good are your players? And we'll see some examples of this. Goalkeeper gets the ball, surveys quickly, and then you can see she's looking to play beyond right away. Gets it into a good space, a flick, and we'll say that was a goal. Weak side early. So the weak side would be the side opposite of where everybody is. I mean, it's the weaker part of the field. There's not as many players over there. So you can see here, there's a little bit of a weak cross that came in there to the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper made the save, and now she is going to look out the other side of the field right away to start the play. Because there should be space over there, and if your team practices it, you should have numbers and be able to attack those positions. Again, a weak shot or cross in, she immediately looks out the other side of the field. A weak shot in, immediately looks out the other side of the field. You can see how much space there usually is over there. Attacking up the middle. I wouldn't suggest this too often, but when it's open like there. 40 yards of space for that player to play in with a ball that was simply rolled out. So it was a good decision. Again, if it's open, but up the middle of the field is not a place where you want to try to make the perfect pass. Strong side. Okay, so if weak side was going out the side of the field where there's less players, the opposite side of where the ball came from, strong side means I'm going to go right back over to where the ball came from. And that's something that maybe you've scouted the other team and you've noticed that they push a lot of numbers forward on that strong side. So maybe if you can play strong side but behind all their players, that's a really good option for attack. You can see that's exactly what that goalkeeper did. Here we're playing out that other side again. There he played out weak side. Okay, so vertical heights. Now this isn't talking about how tall you are. This is talking about how far upfield you want to press as a goalkeeper. So how far do I want to move outside of my 18-yard box as a goalkeeper? That is what they mean by vertical height / sweeper keeper. Teams press higher up the field, which means solve pressure results in quick counterattacks. Goalkeepers that manage depth well enable teams to press higher. So this is just it's telling you to monitor. It's an explanation of how far upfield do we want to stand. So if my team has the ball and they're in the other team's half and we're attacking as a goalkeeper, I want to be maybe about 20 yards away from my back line. So in this case, I'd assume my back line's probably at about midfield, and I would want to be probably 15 to 20 yards outside of my 18-yard box so I can manage that space between myself and my back line appropriately. Again, there's 2 things I can be doing there. A, I'm looking for through balls that might come through that I can either go and move myself with my feet or pick off myself. I'm looking for through balls that would come through where I can simply ask my defender to run onto it and pass it back. And then by being 15 to 20 yards away from my defenders with my vertical positioning, I can communicate with them better. I need to be able to give them some instructions. From too far away, they can't hear me. So again, there you saw the goalkeeper was out high enough so he could just kick it out of bounds. Another long ball in, and the goalkeeper is at the top of their 18 and can kill the play by kicking it out of bounds. You can see here Here they've just shown you a chart here, and you can see those dotted lines that kind of match up with the post. And for the most part, as a goalkeeper, that's where you're going to be starting, somewhere between the posts and anywhere from your goal line to the 50-yard line. And that's our starting point. We don't want to wander outside of it as a starting point very often. There really isn't too much of a purpose to that. So staying between the pipes, anywhere between your goal line and the 50 with your vertical positioning, that's your starting point. And then you can see, like in those last two videos there, that allows us to be able to chase out wide and pick a ball off if we need to, but doesn't carry us out of position. Okay, so what they're explaining here, okay, average vertical height for a Premier League goalkeeper making saves is at 3 yards. New balls equal higher velocities, more movement, deeper positioning allows more reaction time. What cues change vertical positioning? So this is basically just saying here that goalkeepers, even at the highest level, they don't position for shots very, very high off their line. So three yards would be and edge of their 6-yard box for you guys. It'd be probably in your 6-yard box more. The new balls fly all over the place, which allows people to bend them, to make them go up and down faster. So generally when it comes to shot stopping, being a little bit tighter to your line, a little bit tighter to your goal line, allows you more time to make saves. So we'll go over that here. There's cues, like are they about to kick one with their right foot and make it swing in, or are they about to kick one that's going to swing away, as far as shots and as far as crosses, but in this case, shots. Knowing your opponents helps also. We'll see some examples here. So you can see there that shot's coming from outside the arc, and the goalkeeper is in the middle, and maybe again here it looks like they're a little farther up, but maybe a yard or two off their line. Really not much advantage when it comes to cutting the angle. Good save. Again, you can see the ball's coming from outside the 18. That goalkeeper is well within their 6-yard box because they can't cut the angle with the ball that's coming from out that far. And there you saw a shot from well outside the box, but the goalkeeper was tighter to her line so she could tip it over. Here was a bent ball that if she was too high would have made it around her. So all these saves are coming from inside the 6-yard box and really only about a yard, 2 yards max off of their goal line. Again there. Some really good positioning and really good saves here. And again, you can see where they're at. They're a yard off their line, maybe 2 yards off their line. They're not challenging way up at the top of their 6. We don't want to be doing that when the ball is outside of the 18-yard box. You can see here also, as they have defenders in their box, they're not coming way out to cut off the angle. Cutting off the angle and coming higher off your line or outside your 6-yard boxes for 1v1 situations. So now we're talking about flank service starting position. In flank services, okay, flank services, those are your crosses, your corners, your balls coming from the wide areas of the field. The traditional floated service is largely gone from the modern game, so they're just saying there that with the balls that we play with nowadays, we'll still see some balls that come floated in, but you see a lot more driven balls or balls that are passed into the box rather than necessarily being floated in the air. Again, service is whipped and has lower trajectory, less reaction time, plus dealing with traffic. More balls pulled back on the floor from the 3-goal situation, more conservative starting position. And again, some of the stuff we're talking about here, if it doesn't make sense to you, go back and watch the first Zoom presentation. It's on the Salvo YouTube channel, so you can understand what is a 3-goal situation. And a lot of the terminology that we're using here is explained in that video. Service between the center backs and the outside backs, where forwards have a physical advantage. So they're just saying there's a lot more difficulties here we have to deal with when it comes to those floated balls from the flank or the driven balls from the flank. So you can see, you'll see on most of these, the goalkeeper's starting position, you can see there they are, and they're in the middle of the net, maybe a foot to a yard off of their line. Their hips are open to play. So their hips are open to the point where they can see the ball and they can see the whole field in front of them. That'll allow them to move in multiple positions, to multiple places very, very quickly, rather than if they were closed off. If that goalkeeper's shoulders were just closed to the ball or flat across their goal line, they'd have less options for making a save. And you can see the goalkeepers are always going to read the ball and then react to it rather than just going to a spot. Now I'm just going to rewind it a little bit to replay a couple of these last ones, because there's a few of them that look exactly like what you guys will deal with off of a corner. There's 800 people in your 6-yard box. There's probably somebody standing in front of you trying to have a tickle fight, and you got to try to find your way to the ball. And you watch these goalkeepers, and they're not panicking. They're not pushing people around. They're standing in the spot they want to stand in, and then they just read the ball, and then they go and get it. So it just becomes a moment of, you have to understand you're good enough to get a ball. Don't worry about somebody's pushing you. If they do, you hope that the referee makes the right call. So you can again see there's a ton of people. Goalkeeper knows right where to go. A lot of people in there. Goalkeeper gets a hand on it. And again, you can see these goalkeepers they're not jumping out of the gym. They don't have a 5-foot vertical. They're just making a judgment, getting to a point, and looking to get a fist in that case, or a catch on the ball. So here you can see at the top, it says range and flank service. So a lot of those ones we watched early on were corner kicks, and they were tighter to their line. And now is where the lines moved up a little bit, and it's kind of balls that are played in the air in behind with maybe somebody running onto it. So you can see these goalkeepers are very good at reading and reacting. And again, you have to wait. You have to wait to see what the ball is going to do. You can't just start running to a spot. Then you use your fast feet to get to the ball and through the ball. And some very simple plays here made by the goalkeepers, but it's very good decision making. See that goalie, she's got it down enough. She was standing in the right spot before the ball was even kicked, pretty much. Okay, so now here you can see some of those 3-goal situations. Again, you can go back to the first presentation if you don't know what the 3-goal is, but it's basically explaining the situation where the ball is traveling down the end line. So they've gotten pretty close to the end line, and now they're moving in your 18 towards the box, and they look to maybe cut it back to the 18. So you can see these goalkeepers are going to be taking up a position on the near post, defending basically a miniature goal they've made up in their mind between the post and the top of the 6. Some good saves there. You can see if the goalkeeper wants them to cut it back to the penalty dot so they can delay the play. So here we'll see some back post service. So this is where the ball is out wide. You can see this goalkeeper here is in the middle of their goal. They're backing up towards the end line, so they have an option to get to this back post. If they were cheating forward into the front half of their net on a play like this, they would never be able to get to the ball that's about to be served. Okay, so now you see these teams are scoring, but the object here is, again, you're supposed to be watching the goalkeepers. Okay, if the goalkeeper is getting beat by that first ball at the back post, that's one thing. If the attacking team is playing it in and getting it to an open player, that's another. So with scouting and preparation, and again, this is what you actually get to do when you're in college, is you can understand what the other team is about to do. They'll scout everything from set pieces to how many times the other team plays it to a certain area on a goal kick. There's so many things that you can scout with the other team, and some of them won't end up benefiting your team at all or you at all, but many of them do help you. So I think we're going to see a series of videos here where they explain there was some players that they knew liked to shoot in a certain way. Like if they like to cut across the top of the 18, they like to shoot to the back post, or they like to shoot to the front post. And they knew where these players would shoot, so the goalkeeper could position and kind of cheat a little bit based on the scouting they have done. So we'll watch a few of those. Okay, so in this, they're showing a goal that was scored by this gal, and she likes to hit it there all the time. And they had scouted this. Okay, this isn't the team that's going to be making the save, but they had scouted this game and saw this is where this girl likes to shoot the ball, kind of a line drive to the far post. So they explained to their goalie, we want you, when she starts driving across the top of the 18, to sit back and get ready for that ball. And I think we should see a save coming up here. After this one here is a replay of the goal. We should see the same play here, but now it's Penn State's goalie. Same play, ball in the same spot, but the goalkeeper knew what was coming. So again, they had scouted this first. They had scouted this first clip here, and they had scouted other games where the goal was scored in this manner. You can see the goalkeeper is out of position, has no chance of making a great save on that goal she scores. But then in the next clip, you can see the Penn State goalie knows it's coming and saves it. So you can see Penn State goalie knows exactly what's coming, steps back in, and makes a save on almost the exact same ball. So that's what scouting can get you. And again, you get to do it in the college game. You guys don't get to do much of it in high school and club at all, but in college, you can learn a lot from game film. We'll see a similar thing here. Somebody getting scored on off of a curler, and then somebody positioning differently to save it. PKs, same thing, knowing where they're going to go Here they know where they're going to go. He saves it. So it's showing you an example of a miss from another team, learning from that tape, and then your team makes the save. Object of this, share a little bit of what, why, how, and some tools for you to add to your toolbox. So again, we didn't have many questions today, which is totally fine, but what I would suggest is when the video gets put onto YouTube, go through it. You can just fast forward to some of the points that you want to know about or know more about. Do that. Make sure you watch that first video if you haven't, because it can give you it'll give you a good perspective going into this one. And all the videos we'll be doing, one leads right into the other. You don't have to watch all of them, but they will definitely all help each other if you watch them. Watch them in a row, or at least watch them all at some time. So go back on there. There's your two coaches. Good guys there. And that is your presentation for today. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to send me an email about anything if you want more information about anything, and we will see you later. Anybody have questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
Is Danny?
Yeah, it is.
All right, what do you got?
So I guess with the quarantine and all, like, there's a lot of like things that we can do, like footwork wise and like running just to like keep fit, but what can we do specifically for like goalkeeping, like ourselves, just to continue to keep up our.
So you're talking about the technical pieces of the goalkeeping. Yeah. I will be, I should say, putting out some videos very soon that you'll be able to, so you'll be able to go into that technical area and look at that. And then I'm gonna put some right over Team Snap.
All right, awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then my mom wanted to see the baby. Is the baby? You guys, is the baby there?
Yes. Yeah. Don't worry. I'll have Thomas McMillan cut this out of the YouTube video. The baby's coming. Kayla was watching upstairs, so.
Okay.
My mom wanted to see the baby. Everybody else is welcome to see the baby. We got Claire, Hayden, Joshua. Yeah, we'll cut this out so that doesn't go on YouTube.
YouTube.
This is how we're living now. If you want to see anybody, you gotta. All right. He was kind of sleeping.
So cute.
So he's a little bit tired, or eating, sleeping, pooping. They're all the same thing. Yeah, he's out of it. He just wants back to eating. All right, this is Royce. He's healthy. He's happy. He's getting a lot of attention because everybody's stuck at home taking care of him.
Say hi.
No, he can't.
Where's your smile?
So
Yeah. There you go. Again, feel free to email me if you have any questions. And we will see you guys later. Goodbye.